Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Running for Resilience podcast. We've got a special episode today. We're actually talking about Recess for Resilience, which is running for resilience, but at schools. And I got three of the legends that help drive it, Mr. Hall, Miss O'Neill, and Mr. Nico. Why don't you guys, we'll go around the horn. Before we get into depth about what Recess is, why don't you guys, firstly, intro how long you've been teaching, a little bit of your backstory, Mr. Hall, and then we'll go around the horn so that the listeners and viewers can know who's been the driver.
Yeah, thanks, Benny. Thanks for the opportunity to come on. I have been told that I've got a face for radio multiple times, so now I'm
voice for newspaper.
Finally reaching my potential, mate. So I appreciate the opportunity. I have been.
You look good though. You look good today, mate.
It's the light, probably, right? Bouncing off.
They
those
put that for me. They
things.
know I was coming in, so they work on the lighting.
No, I appreciate it. I have been a teacher for 17 years here in Canberra Grammar. I'm at Canberra Grammar at the moment. But I did start at Canberra Girls Grammar and then went over to Bergman for a little while and then at Canberra Grammar School now at the moment. But I have a passion around trying to make sure that what we're teaching is actually action, so that when we are teaching something as opposed to lecturing it or giving information to students, we actually want to see some form of action out of them, which is, I think, why we're all here today in some shape or form, because the community that you've set up with Running for Resilience is the action on wellbeing. And I think that that's where Recess for Resilience fits in, is it's building the habits. So that side of education is really my passion, that I want to be able to not teach people. I want to see them build on what the knowledge I'm getting and eventually eclipse me on the knowledge that they've gained from what I've taught them, that they then go
and can teach you.
Teach me or teach the next people around them. So that's that society concept about building, stepping towards a better society, I think, as well. So it's a great profession. It has its ups and downs like every profession, but it's something that's enjoyable.
And before we jump to Miss O'Neill, why don't Mr. Hall, you were the person that emailed Running for Resilience about this idea. Why don't you just talk us through that? What, your initial idea? Why did you email about starting some sort of partnership with Running for Resilience and schools?
Well, it goes back to what I was saying just a second ago about the action, was that I'd known you for a period of time and had seen the
20 years, mate, not a period of time.
Yeah, I'd seen the development and the impact that you were having on the community. And as adults, we either learn the hard way, we either learnt from our teachers, or we learnt the hard way in that I'm actually on a downward spiral at the moment. And I know that people tell me to eat right or to drink well or to sleep well. Sleep's been coming really, the research heavy on sleep is your greatest asset at the moment. There's a lot of research around that. But also if I exercise, it's good. And that message has been for us for a long period of time, whether we listen to it or not, is a choosing of our own. The Running for Resilience is something that I saw that was an active habit that went against the trend of our physical sporting trends at the moment, which is where people are going downward spiral on the
less activity.
Not only less activity, but the community sports. That I don't want to rock up to something that's organised all the time because there's registration fees and logistics and all these kind of problems. I want something I can lop into at my particular time that suits me, that I can connect with people, that I can do some physical activity and get some enjoyment out of it. And at heart, I think, and I've probably glanced over a lot of things about Running for Resilience, but that's in its heart. And if you look at the 5 cores of resilience, or the foundation skills for resilience, you've got those. You've got connection, you've got physical health. So am I sleeping? Is my nutrition good? You've got your self-awareness. So being able to identify within myself, what are my emotions? But then you also need to have that ability to have the optimism that things are actually going to get better, that I can see a better future. And you need to have the flex. You need to have the flexibility to be able to enact those change. So those 5 skill levels, foundation skill levels for resilience, can be taught, but it's the action that needs to build into the habit.
That's the hard bit. The knowledge is the easy bit, yeah.
Yeah. The actually taking that step, the flexibility to make the change. So Running for Resilience has that, does it for multiple people, whether all of your participants pick that up, that's what it's providing. It's providing connection, physical movement, or physical health. It's providing self-awareness, the social connection that's really important. So that the idea to bridge the gap between let's be more proactive and get the next generation, as your motto is about making Canberra one of the healthiest cities in Australia or in the world, let's go back a couple of years. Instead of focusing on, not saying that you're just only focusing on adults, but let's go back to the primary years or the adolescents and tackle their mental health and get some habits into them prior to anything that needs to really head off into some professional stream of mental health help. So,
and that was very important. The goal of recess, we tell the kids, because obviously everyone knows running for resilience is reduce suicide in Canberra or eliminate suicide in Canberra, but it's been a great learning experience for us with Grammar when we went to launch. How we've the goal that the kids are buying into is to make Canberra the happiest and healthiest city in the world, and to do that, we think we need to exercise with friends and check in with each other. Yeah. So that thank you, for Grammar's been on behalf of AFRA, thank you for everything you've done so far, Mr. Hall, and Grammar for obviously getting the ball rolling, and it started rolling, and then we had Miss O'Neill, who from Torrens, reached out. Miss O'Neill and I, we know each other for how? We were co-workers at the great KPMG.
We sure were.
A lifetime ago. But Miss O'Neill, what made you want to get involved and tell us your story into education? What got you into that space?
Yeah, so I've been teaching for about 7 or 8 years. I did a stint over in London, and I've been teaching in Canberra in the public system. But
Come a little bit closer to the mic so we can hear. Yeah, we don't want the listeners to miss what you're saying.
I did have a little bit of a break. I went into the public service, and then I went into private where I met you. And then I had a very difficult time in my life where I just needed community around me, which is how I got into running for resilience. So I went down there, and it was such a great atmosphere that it was just really great. And I was talking to people there who had just started the Recess for Resilience from Grammar, and they were like, you could start it in the public schools in the ACT. And I just thought that was such a great idea. I took it to my deputy, who was very, very, very supportive, which has made the whole thing so much easier. And we just kind of started it from there at the school.
Well, Mr. Nico, do you want to explain, before we go back to Adam, to explain a bit about, just let the viewers know how recess works. Mr. Nico, would you like to introduce yourself, your educational background, and then how recess is working at Torrens? What are we doing, and how are we getting the groups engaged, and how's it going?
Yep. Thank you so much for having us. Really do appreciate the opportunity to get out of this classroom and the school and do something fancy like this. It's very, very cool, and do appreciate it. I've been a teacher for 25 years, and after hearing these two numbers makes me feel really old all of a sudden. All of that here in the ACT, working across a number of schools, both primary, high school, some of our super schools that were set up early in the 2004s and that. So, and just have always been right about.
Sorry, what's the super school?
So your P to 10 schools. So.
They do.
Amaroos, your Harrison.
Okay.
And
Kingsford Smith.
Very, very big.
Sorry to interrupt. I just have a question.
And I've always been really, really keen on student wellbeing and student engagement and that culture that comes from physical activity. When I was at Amaroo as a young teacher, emerging as a leader, I used to run what we called AmFit. So every Tuesday, Thursday mornings, we ran like a boot camp with 40, 50 kids who were coming to school. And as the school had just opened, we opened K to 5 the first year, and then the second year K to 8. So we just inherited all these year 8s who'd been to high school, turned up to a really small high school at the time, and were like, well, this is not high school. And there was no culture, there was no connection. So the idea of that AmFit was, well, you guys love sport, you guys love fitness, let's come in and do some boxing and some stretch classes and, things that I enjoyed doing and really build up that culture. And we got to a group of about 100 kids by about the third year coming in and doing all this physical activity. So that wellbeing part of activity has always been something that's been in the back of my mind, and student wellbeing. I was really lucky with the Recess for Resilience. I had Steph come to me incredibly passionate at the start of the year when I was in the acting principal role. And sometimes in schools, particularly the public service in Canberra in particular, we're very much a big brother society of, do you have this in plan? Do you have a plan for this? Do you have a map for this? And we make things really challenging to do. And it's a sad way some of our, more fun excursions, our international excursions, our ones where kids go over to foreign countries and, help build churches or visit lower communities. Those are starting to disappear. I mean, even our school camps are disappearing.
Just because there's like this big administrative load to make it happen.
There's so much administrative load on teachers, but also this really risk-averse nature in how we approach everything. And I know we do that for safety reasons and security reasons, but, you know, a 150-page document on swim safety doesn't help our swim carnival actually be safer. It's actually the processes you put in place, the people being active. You know, sticking a sign up on my pool saying don't drown isn't going to stop anyone drowning. And we do, as a very litigious community here in Canberra, get stuck on a lot of that. So as a leader, I'm a big person of, yes, how do we make that happen? So to have Steph come to me at the start of the year and just be like, I've got an idea and you know what, we're going to make it happen because I'm very passionate about this. It's going to impact, you know, heaps of kids, but if it impacts one, it's done its job. And she was just like, how do we make it happen? And, you know, we started to tick all the boxes of our risk assessments, checking up the different policies to take kids off school grounds. We started small. We had to change some of our permissions for off-site with the kids.
So we started we started on site, and then after one term we moved across.
Yeah. So we started
to the field across the road.
Yeah. So we started the Recess for Resilience inside our school gates, which we had pretty solid turnouts for the kids. But I'll be honest, it was a pretty bleh sort of run. The kids still enjoyed it and got a bit out of it.
It was a good soft launch into it, I think.
It was.
Yeah.
We got good regulars, kids that were keen to come and exercise, keen to come and chat. But after that term, when we'd built up a bit of that culture about here's our expectations, here's some of the language we use to talk to one another, we actually trust you. You're showing yourselves to be responsible young adults. And these kids are from year 3 to year 6, and we've even had some year 2s come across recently. We actually go outside the school gates to the oval across the road, and that sort of was just the shot in the arm it really needed. The kids, there's just this immense pride to be able to go outside of the gates to do something.
They feel trusted or something, or they're venturing
They
beyond.
take it seriously and they take the responsibility.
They do. Yeah. One of the kids actually came to Steph earlier this week and was like, I can't go on Thursday. I've got the school soccer thing. I'm so sorry. I won't be there. And it's like, that's cool. But they really identify and attach to that day, and it's had a huge impact on a really core group of our kids. But it's had some significant impacts. And I guess when we look at mental health, again, sometimes in all our society, we look for big solutions to solve everyone's problem, and that's not what mental health is always about. It's actually just about making a difference for one person at a time, and then let's do it again and try and impact as many as we can. And, you know, in schools we can fall into traps of, there's not lots of kids going, or, it's quite expensive to send 2 staff out across the oval for 30 kids, or it's a big imposition, or there's a lot of admin work, and those things die as a result of it. But the impact it's had on the kids, and a couple of kids, if you let me talk about them later in particular.
Why don't you just go now?
Has just been huge. I guess for me, all the kids, it's so good to see them rate, 1 to 5 or 1 to 10, how they're feeling before and after the run, and they all tend to improve. But we've got 2 kids in particular I want to talk about. One, little boy who's struggling in school at the moment. He's just really struggling with some connection, but also changes in medication, family routines. He has an amazing family that supports him immensely, but he's going through a lot of big emotions and struggling to connect with his peers and regulate, particularly at the end of the day. Thursdays are his highlight. Like, he is at Recess for Resilience no matter what. He could have had a shocking few days. He could have been away a few days, and he is away a lot. But his attendance on Thursdays is near perfect. He comes to Recess for Resilience. He bags us if he misses it. But even just to see him come across, and, the first session I think I had a chuckle with you, Ben, because we do our big circle, like the huddle, the scrum, and he's like, no, don't touch me. And, that's part of his diagnosis and challenges. He's like, don't touch me. But by 2 or 3
weeks later, he was getting his arms in and starting to...
And he gets a bit shirty when they don't put their arms around him, some of them, but the positive impact that has on him on a Thursday, like, it's worth all the resources and all the admin just to impact that one child. And it's incredible to see that change in him. The second one that I think is a really great example is we have a new student to our school, again, has a number of challenges at school. You don't always move schools because things are great, and move to states and jurisdictions. Selective mute student who doesn't talk to a lot of people, really has had trouble finding her friendship groups and the people around. Steph actually was her class teacher for most of term 2, and I don't think you heard her speak until about the end of term 2 at Recess for Resilience.
Yeah.
Yeah. But for her, she like Mondays are pretty, term one, she never spoke to a single adult, spoke to one child, would whisper in her ear. Term two, she had a couple of good friends and they would come across to the recess for readings and do things. By the end of term two, we were just seeing this pattern with her, and term three, where Mondays she'd be pretty quiet still. Tuesdays she'd start to warm up and wave as she walks by my office and, start to do that. Wednesday was really good. And Thursday it was like, oh my God, can you get back in your box? You are so excitable and so happy. Even gave up and gave me a huge, I've been away for a few days ill, came up and gave me a huge hug today and just said, oh, I missed you. Where were you for running for Recess for Resilience? Talking to staff, and her teachers really noticed that difference across the week, really peaking and building up to the Thursdays, but it does flow on into other aspects. And she's got other friends and the friendship group's expanded, older kids that will ask her how she's going and check in. And, again, we always look for these big solutions, magic solutions, put fluoride in the water and fix everyone's teeth sort of thing. And that's not how mental health works. So to impacted those two students and forget all the other benefits that come for the other 30, 40 kids that come on and off and love it, as well as the benefits me and Steph get from it just individually, it's totally worth it. And I would recommend any school looks at it, because the impact it can make in a kid's life, you don't know the follow-on that'll have 10 years from now, 20 years from now.
Yeah. Confidence, their confidence has shot up. Yeah.
Well, and it's crazy you said, like, just that focus on the one, like, if it helps one person. And that was Breeny when he started AFRA. He wanted to create something that would just help his dad in his dad's darkest moments. There was no grand plan to help all these people. It was just Breeny wanted to save one life from suicide.
Yeah.
That could sort of substitute losing his dad, and that it's grown and sort of just rolled from there. And it's great, exactly what you said, that the small, we've noticed, and we sort of, with our new event organisers, with the new Running for Resilience, is we're trying to tell them no media in the early days. Like, just do a soft launch, just get going, build momentum, and then later on down the track, start pouring a bit of fuel on the fire, raise attention. Because at the start, when you're that small group, it forms that really like tight knit core community that then the crowds and the masses then eventually like build onto. But Mr. Hall, what have you noticed? Is there any stories you want to, or Mr. O'Neill, have you got any others from Torrens? And then we'll go with Mr. Hall for.
I was just going to say it's interesting because we've like built this at Torrens, and we really do have a core group of about 30 students who'll come every week. They're super enthusiastic to be there. And I feel like they're always coming, just whether they're just always there. It's like we almost don't even need to do anything. They'll show up because we've kind of created this space that they really like. And one of the things that I think has made that work so well is that message of it's completely optional. So if you don't want to come, then don't come. If you want to come, then come. And what it means is that all of the kids who were there on the day, they're really excited to be there. And we've created this like nice little community within the school community. And I was talking to some of the students, what do you like about Recess for Resilience? And they all said the same thing. They said that they like being part, or like they feel like they're part of something and they belong somewhere. And they like that they can check in with their friends. So even if they're not doing it during the week or whatever on a daily basis, on Thursdays they are, and they like that they're checking in with their friends, and they like that they can meet other people in the school as well. That was something that all of them said. They like that it's optional. They like that they checking in with their friends. A lot of them said that they feel a lot more energetic afterwards. And what was the other thing I said? They
Connect.
Yeah.
I love how they check in on us too. That's
They
something
do.
that doesn't happen in schools anymore. The days of thanking your teacher at the end of the day and the apple on the desk and that, which shows my age, those things are gone. Parents don't even remember to give chocolates after a camp these days. But these kids come up to you and it's not just, hey, how are you doing today? They genuinely go, how are you? And they do it through the week as well. They open doors for you. They smile. They notice those
Yes.
differences that make a
Yes.
change into that well-being. And
Yes.
you couldn't have forced that onto kids. You couldn't have put a PowerPoint up. You couldn't have done a speech. You couldn't have made them do it. You just had to create a space, which Steph did, that has allowed it to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think picking up on a couple of points, Nico, if I go back to what you're saying about logistics and legalities around schools and education, it's such a heavy point for us to be able to create the opportunities that provide a space for students to find their belonging or their community or their place. And it is a shame. It takes a driver. It takes an individual teacher driver to really be passionate and push that forward. So early on, when Benny and I were talking about it, we wanted to set templates that eroded that work, that no one owned the template of a risk assessment, but it could actually just be picked up and plugged into any particular school. So when you're inviting schools before, and anyone listening out there, that the Recess for Resilient webpage and Running for Resilience is designed there to take some of that heavy lifting away from schools so that they can get straight into creating the space for their community. What I love about some of the things that we're talking about is that initially when Brini set up Running for Resilience, it was kind of the same when you and I were chatting about Recess for Resilience, that we didn't actually have an end goal for it. It was something that we wanted to trial and find the space. And from having a go at something is where I think you start to really learn. So we learned early on from Grammar about how things were working and tracking, and had big numbers and then small numbers, and got some really great stories as well, which I might get onto a second. But one of the things I think is brilliant is hearing what you're doing in Torrens. We've then come back and changed the way that we're operating at Grammar. And so we've put in some of the rugby hurdle that you're doing at the end, and doing the chant. We've started to look at some of those things, and even how we get across the road. We're lucky enough and fortunate enough in where we are to be on the base of Red Hill, and there's government permits that we need to get to be able to go on a Red Hill. But that might, again, as you said before, put a shot in the arm or change it. And again, something that we've not tackled on this podcast at the moment, but that intrinsic value of doing something as opposed to having an extrinsic value. And what I mean by that is rewarding the students in some particular way for showing up to learn the habit would be something extrinsically that we could give to them. And we've started to look at that. We've tried some
Wristbands.
We've tried
them.
some vests.
Yeah.
The vests are really taking off. So
My kids know where they're stored in my
really?
at home, so they cleaned them out yesterday because they had recess yesterday at Forest
Gotcha.
Primary, and they
Yeah.
handed them all out. So there's no more wristbands. They've all
They-
gone to the
yeah.
Forest kids. Sorry.
It's really cute. They'll wear them on a Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's nice that not only hearing that you've created that community for your students over there at Torrens, but then there's another community forming that we're all learning from each other in this space,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, absolutely.
That we're actually trying to start to tackle. And this was the concept, that the concept was that we never wanted a school to own Recess for Resilience, or we actually wanted it to be a little bit more spread, that it's easy enough to do at 15, 20 minutes during recess. And there's various studies done in the US about that the US wanted to tackle that recess time to increase physical ability amongst their students, because they saw it as a downtime, and they're doing all these stress tests, and they're looking at how their students reacted to stress testing if they were incredibly active at recess as opposed to not being incredibly active. So there's a lot of research and data out there. But the points that you're mentioning, the 4 points that you spoke about, what the kids enjoy about it, when I was talking about the decline in not only adult participation, but teens from 14 on the way through to 18 about their improvement or engagement in sport, it's because they don't have those elements in sport because it's too competitive. They actually just want to connect with mates, hang out with mates, be active with mates, and be enjoying what they're doing in some particular way. And so competitive sport doesn't allow them to do that. So they're losing that element that a lot of kids used to be active, that was one of those key components of being resilient. So if you're not active because it's too competitive, then you need to find the space to be active that's not competitive.
So what was the stat you told me? There's a stat, the average kid in America stops exercising at 11, but then you told me the stat of once a kid stops exercising, what are the odds that they ever get exercising again in their life?
I can't remember what the exact percentage
You told
of
me
was,
something
but
about
it's-
it was just
But it does. So
mind-blowing.
as soon as you stop, and it's the same way that
adults as well. It's so hard. to
whenever
get
we
going.
get ourselves, it's easier to maintain than it is to get back to that point that you want to be at. And we find that out the hard way. I mean, I found that out the hard way myself when I didn't get a little bit fitter or run harder or whatever it is, that if I just stuck at where I was previously. So that competitiveness side is what's pushing people away from sport at the moment. That's the trend.
Mm-hmm.
So this is another element where we're not actually just tackling the mental health side. You're starting to tackle some other physical element, although we're not getting them to be too physical. We're still getting them into the habit of thinking that if we can then get them to hold that mirror up and go, well, actually, I think one of you said, when I do this, I'm really energetic afterwards.
Yeah.
So that's if we
Creating
A few
self-awareness.
students said
self-awareness.
that.
If we can
Yeah.
get them into that, then that's unreal.
Well,
And if I stay on my phone all day, I don't have any energy.
Yeah.
Correct, right?
Another thing that the students said that they liked is that with what you're saying just now, they said that they like that they can choose to run or walk. Like it's such a simple thing, but a lot of them said that they like that, the option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bit hard at grammar in the uniforms to run.
Yeah. Well, could be. I mean, some of them, we had early days where we had kids that just felt it was a competition. They just wanted to get out and blitz it, which they totally missed the concept of connecting with someone.
Yes.
And there was a couple of kids that might have been how they connected, right? That they
can connect at that pace.
That was their a little bit of competition, or a little bit. This is a mate that I'm able to do that with or to run with. But I think the other thing that I like about it is that we're moving away from the closed ask questions as well. That even as adults we fall into that. That it's great that we can pick up a phone and go, "Hey, how you going? Are you all right? What's happening in your space?" But the tools that we're actually starting to teach these kids create an opportunity for a larger conversation and break down that barrier of how you going, not good. Well, how do you respond to someone when you say, how are you? And they say, not good. And that just closes the conversation off. So teaching them actually that relationship and how to communicate and how to connect, I think is another level if we go back to, and there's probably more than just 5 areas of foundation skills for resilience, but those 5 are the ones that I sort of tend to go back to. In Penn State, again, out of the because there's Martin Seligman that does a lot of positive education.
psychology.
Yeah, and he talks about those kind of 5 areas. I think he might have another 1 or 2, but in reality, if we can start to get those kids to identify those spaces or domains and give them tools to how to articulate it, imagine what they're going to be as adults.
Yeah.
Right, and
well, we always felt running for that's why we wanted to support recess was. We see it as like the preventative strategy. Like
Yes.
if we can get in, so obviously we're trying to deal with people who have got work and family and they're struggling, so we're trying to put in events for them. But then what about equipping people earlier in life with the tools that I wish was growing up as a sport? I thought sport was just good for my body. Like it would keep me active and I'd manage the weight, but I didn't realise how good it was doing it with my friends was for my mind. But Ms. Todd, did you want to share any stories about any specific cases that you've seen around? Or
Sorry,
Steph,
can
jump
I just
in.
say
Yeah,
something
jump in.
before we do that, just with what you were saying about what you were saying before about the competition. So do you stay on school grounds?
Yeah, we do. Again, we're fortunate that our school grounds
Massive,
looks
much
like
nicer.
and it has a route that goes between trees, so it's almost
nice.
going off.
Yeah.
So again,
Well, I think one of the advantages of going off school grounds is, well, first of all, the kids are excited about it. But also, it's a neutral ground, and I feel like.
In what way? Like, because it's not the school.
Because it's not the school, and it's kind of like I mean, obviously we're the teachers, but it's kind of like we're all just there together as a group.
And kids are fantastic. They're very good at working together and doing that. But you find spaces. There's the kids that hang out on the basketball court, the kids that hang on the soccer court, the kids that hang in the sand pit. And when you're running around it, it felt a bit like you were not trespassing because everyone goes everywhere and changes, and they're very great at being inclusive. But it's like stepping into someone else's house. You're never quite yourself.
Yeah.
And whereas we've gone over to the neutral space, everyone's equal.
Exactly. Everyone's equal. And I feel like it does make it more it feels more casual. It's just like we're all going over here because we all want to be here. And we're all just going to have a run or a walk together and catch up.
And that's probably at Forest. So 2 other schools were St Clair's and Forest Primary, where my daughters are. Mark Robson at Forest and Adam Buck at St Clair's. 2 other legends that hopefully we'll get them on, lads. Hopefully we'll get you on another next year. But that's exactly what you're saying with Forest. We're on campus when we do it, so we do it with my daughters. But even as we walk past the cricket net, so one of my daughters ends up running off playing cricket with her friends, and then we lose her. And so we start the first lap with a good crowd, and because they've got an even smaller campus, we've got to do 2 laps.
Yeah.
But we're losing so many of the kids in the first lap. So it's something we've been chatting with Mark Robson there. But again, as you said before, there's a big administrative burden for him to try and navigate to see if it's even possible there. And just Well, why don't we then get into some of the stories from St Clair, not St Clair's, from grammar.
Yeah, I think I'll finish with the students. If I can start, one of the things that I've enjoyed watching is that some of the logistics that we were talking about before around teachers having to do duties around recess and lunch. So I needed to work out a way, or we needed to work out a way that we could have teachers not seeing this as an extra burden to come along, because we couldn't work out how many students we were going to have at a time. Sometimes we're up around 300, other times we're down around the 30, 20, 10 kind of mark. It depends on what the day's like. And again, not compulsory. So that duty structure was something that we needed put into place so that we could have teachers attend but not put burden on them. And what we noticed very quickly was that even the teachers that didn't volunteer to run it as a duty or to supervise with our students came along in small groups. So we'd have year groups of teachers and cohorts of teachers walking together and checking in with each other and doing the recess for themselves.
That's cool.
And as you said, Nico, that the kids would check in with them as well. And I think
It's Mark, Mr. Nico is what I call it.
That's
Mr.
all
Nico.
good. As long as
Mr.
you don't call
Nico.
me ugly, I'm happy.
So that interaction between staff was really nice to see, but then also the kids that were checking in with them, that was really nice to see. So I think that that's a great opportunity for us as educators to, again, break down an appropriate barrier to build those relationships with our students to get the best out of them. And all of us will know that we get the best out of our people when we have a good relationship with them. So I think that that's been wonderful to see. The students, we have a couple of neurodiverse students that are really benefiting from this as well. We have one particular student that comes each week now who couldn't go near a tree, was terrified by trees and was terrified by the concept of walking around outdoors by trees, and that was part of his makeup. And now he comes every week, and he does have a one-to-one offsider. But to see him go along and enjoy that, and one of the things again that we've learnt from yourselves at Torrens is we're at the point where we're getting the students to do the initial. Why do we do recess for resilience? How do you check in with someone?
Do the welcome at the start.
Do the welcome. What happens if you get this? And today, this young gentleman got up in front and wanted to, in his own way, try and have a go at that, which was really brilliant for not only to him to have a go, but to also see our community welcome him in his way to have a go at that.
It's amazing.
And to see, and I think that the other students are able to learn and able to gain
confidence
respect.
as well.
Or
Like,
respect.
forget public speaking, bloody scary.
And just to see that student in a different light for all those other kids who might have just thought of him as this one-dimensional, had this thing and didn't avoid trees. For them it builds so much empathy and care. And you can't, the students I was talking about who at times are not always liked by their peers from their behaviour, by being a part of it, they, students see them in a different way, and they do build that respect and that care, and in a genuine, authentic way. So that's an awesome story.
Yeah, I think it's when you have a community that is diverse, that's the best way that people learn, and particularly if we boil it down to what the heart of education is we want people to be successful in society post-school. That's really what we're trying to do. Successful in whichever way they just choose to do. So we're trying to set them up with the right tools, which is, I think, part of what this Recess for Resilience is doing. One of the other ones was we had a student that walked up along with you one day, Benny, and just said, I'm really not sleeping well. I'm struggling to sleep, and opened up to you a little bit about that. So having him to find someone that he trusted in a space that he could go, hey, I'm not doing too well with this. That's exactly what we're trying to set this up for, is that to remove the stigma about connection, to remove and that's what Are You OK Day and we're in the right month for it. October's the mental health month. We're in the right month for talking about mental health. But all these days are designed around, and foundations are designed around trying to get people into making good choices for their mental health. So I think that's one of the great stories, is for someone, and we've done a couple of chats at school in front of assemblies and those kind of things, but really you didn't know this kid too much prior, just
didn't know him, and he just started opening up as we were walking and said, we won't get too many details exactly what he said, but it was not just I couldn't sleep. Like, it was, kid was in distress, but I was, I mean, I didn't really know what to say. Like, I just, you know, I hope you're all right. Have you spoken to, and then I went and straight told you. And I guess the other thing, that what you're also saying is how good it's great recess. Well, the getting out and walking has been for teachers as well. Like, I've really loved getting to know Mr. Weatherall.
Yeah.
Become really, really great to get to know him. Like, so yeah, I went and told him and you straight away. I was like, I think you guys are going to, but you were already, the school had already flagged.
He's a perfect person for that. So Dan over there, he overlooks our pastoral care. So that being flagged through Benny and then through to our pastoral care team meant that we as a school were able to support him straight away. And I don't think we'd had as much depth. We'd had some things around that we knew that maybe.
Dan said you guys were aware of some of the challenges, but he, like, this kid was like not sleeping.
Yeah.
Maybe an hour, like not. It doesn't sound like he'd slept that night before.
Yeah. So I think that what a great position that opportunity creates to catch that, to be able to help that particular individual.
We haven't seen him back though, so hopefully maybe he's sleeping better and he doesn't feel like he needs to come.
Dan's checked in with his teacher a couple of times, so I think he's going okay. But
okay.
Just opening that door up to be able to speak to people is such a huge
right.
skill. And, you know, we as adults are not great at it. We send off lots of texts to mates and that, but they're pretty superficial at times. To build those skills into kids, I do love that Recess for Resilience and Running for Resilience isn't about solutions either, because, you know, if there was a magic wand for mental health, we'd be pretty dumb for not using it already and fixing that stuff. Because there's not about a fix. It's not about something wrong with you. It's just, it's tough times, and it's being able to open up and to create that skill for a kid to be able to be so brave, you know, and talk to someone who is effectively a stranger as well, but a part of that group is just immense, and that will hold him in great stead.
Yeah, I think that's a perfect point, right? To remove that concept of that if you're not feeling okay, you're broken, that something's wrong with me, and that I need to be fixed, and that anything out here is to fix someone. It's definitely not to do that.
100%. I was at a lunch today where someone was saying that exactly that. People are not broken. They just don't have a space to be themselves and to talk about what's on their mind. They're not broken. They just have something on their mind or something they're going through, and they need a space where they can share it and get help and not feel judged for doing it. And I think that's one thing R4R and Recess, I think, is doing
exceptionally well.
Doing well. And so I guess thank you for this year. Like, it's been all one big experiment. We had no idea what we were doing. What do you think have been the biggest lessons for the year? So we'll go around the hall. Maybe we'll start with Miss O'Neill and we'll go that way. What have been like the couple of biggest lessons you've taken out of this year, and where would you like to see Recess going in the future? Like,
biggest lessons as in having it implemented at the school and getting it up and running.
Just like a teacher's watching, and any teachers are watching, and they're thinking what. Yeah, apart from maybe getting through the admin stuff, there's that. But then
how we've got it now. So what I did is I went around to the senior side of the school to just gauge interest, if students actually wanted this at the school and if they think they would benefit from it. And pretty much everyone said yes. And then, got the okay with exec, sent out a note to parents and the community to let them know what we were thinking of doing, sort of had it in the newsletter. And then I started putting posters up around the school to try and get the word out. And it's really funny, actually, because we don't even need to remind them. Every Thursday before Mark and I get out there, all the kids who are wanting to go are already there down at the gate stretching. And it really is just like piloting it all and just seeing what works. And so we started in the school and then we took it out. What we do is when we get to the oval, we take a photo of everyone, and which kind of makes it feel like a bit of a thing. It's really funny, actually, because I've taken so many photos and they all look the same because the sky is the exact same blue in every photo. We always have really nice weather, which helps. So we do that, and then we've just made changes along the way. First it would be Mark or I or you doing the, our aim is to make Canberra the happiest and healthiest city in the world. We do this through exercising with our friends and talking with our friends. And so now the students do that. And then, so we sort of had just students at random doing it. And it's really cool because they really take the message in, like what you were saying. They take the message in and they add their own flavor to it and they say it back in their own way, which is really cool. But from now on, we're doing captains. We'll be doing that. So we had the captains do that this week. And then we go off and we do it. We do the run. And I think as well, like something that's really helpful is that we've got, because Mark and I go, and you're there as well sometimes. So we've got a man and a woman, which is just really good because some students connect more with men, some connect more with women. So it's good that we've got that balance. So we do it, and then we come in afterwards for a little huddle, and we sort of have a little bit of a chat. Oh, before we head off, we talk to them about like checking in, like what can you do to, like how can you check in with your friend? We use the, on a scale of 1 to 5, what number are you today and why? Or we use the rose thorn banana peel, which is what's something good that's happening lately, what's something that's a bit tricky, and what's something that's a bit silly to, lighten the mood. So we sort of talk about that. And then we do a little hands in. And I think we change the word each time. And so the captains now think of what the word is. And it's just really cool because it gives them some leadership opportunities. And this week, or for the next 2 weeks, so we have a captain we change every 2 weeks. And so the first captains, we've got some girls in year 3. And when I told them, they were over the moon. They were so excited. And they said to me, but we're not in year 6. And I was like, yeah, you don't have to be in year 6 to be a captain for Recess for Resilience. So I think that's really cool because they're really jumping into that leadership role and they want to. And then so we're going to get them to like start making the announcements to remind everyone that Recess for Resilience is on. And also like they can come to us with any ideas that they have, but we also that's just open to everyone anyway, because a lot of students do actually, they're just so enthusiastic about it. They'll actually come up and like have their own ideas and I was thinking this and like what Mr. Nico before was saying about if they can't come, they'll like let us know, and they're all just doing this like they don't have to. They're just doing it because they really like it.
They care what you think too.
Yeah, and it's really interesting how such a simple thing, but it just is really effective. And I asked one of the students the other day, what do you like about Recess for Resilience? And she said everything. She said that she went over as a 10, like 10 out of 10, and she came back as an 11. I mean, she was very happy anyway, but still, she got even happier.
Who knew? Who knew it would be possible to go to 11? But we'll take that.
So I think that's kind of where we're at now. What we want to do is we want to just build on like the roles that the captains have and the leadership. We want to sort of get a bit more refined with our check-ins and sort of what we do in that space. I think we'll work on that a little bit. And we also want to, as one of our big goals is we go over to this oval, but we've got another oval near us that's very nice looking oval.
The Mawson ovals that are across Athlon
So
Drive.
the soccer ones. Yeah, that's
They're green because they're watered, not like the dead one.
With the golf balls.
The one that we were on the other day actually needed a bit of a mow too. But yeah, so we want to head over there as like a special thing.
End of term.
Mark was saying like maybe we can like hand out some, I don't know, icy poles or something like that. As just like a, thanks for being part of this. Because it's worked well at Torrens. So it's definitely something to be proud of. Yeah.
Do you have anything to add to that, Miss Nico? Just around
no, I think Steph has really nailed it. I guess the biggest thing I'd say to teachers who are taking up Run for Resilience is that it can't be measured in, your normal quantitatives. It's got to be measured in small impacts that make a difference to each kid. And you've got to take those wins and really celebrate them and know that they're great. And just from a personal point of view, I mean, obviously the kids do. We've spoken so much about how they check in with us as adults. Obviously, I don't ever dump on them my deepest and darkest secrets and, life's horrible and this is going wrong and my mum's sick, and you don't do that. But it's nice as an adult to be reminded that a check-in doesn't have to be with someone your own age, that these kids...
It's a little reminder that you matter, that they're checking in on you, that you matter to them.
And there's insights from them that come out that are just, oh, how are you today, Mr. Nico? I'm actually only a 3. I'm not feeling great today. Oh, is anything going on? It makes a difference.
Yeah.
Even when, sometimes as adults we think we're above, that child can't understand what I'm going through with work and mortgages and 18-year-old kids who are hard at home and all that. But they do. They do. They get empathy. And even if they don't have a solution, but I'm not looking for a solution. I'm just looking for someone to be caring and compassionate. And as a teacher, you set this program up, if for nothing else, to be selfish, to enjoy your exercise for yourself. I'll set this program up to get a little bit of time where you can build a connection that benefits you. But beyond that, it makes a huge difference to your kids and can't recommend it enough.
And I can feel more selfish about they were running for resilience while Shooter and I were shouting the beers and pizza, because it was keeping Shooter and I active and it was massively helping us. So everyone's saying, oh, thanks for putting this on. But I felt so selfish. I was like, I'm doing this for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mr. Hall, what have been the big learnings for you, and where do you want to see recess go? Not just at grammar, but just, I guess, in general.
Yeah, the big learnings, I think, came probably early on, with not really knowing how it's going to look or what the benefits are going to be, how it might play out with students. I think for us as a bunch of educators over there at Grammar, when we're looking at it, we had different concepts about what success was. So some of our educators may have measured success as in numbers, that recess is successful when we have 300 odd, because we had large numbers early on at the start. Like we had that 100 marks for a couple of weeks. So when that drops down, does that mean it's successful or not? And I think that was a learning lesson in itself, in that success isn't on the numbers, and it really is on building consistency, as you were saying before. The ripple effect is something that we've started to talk a lot about in our leadership structure at school with our students, and that ripple effect is, if I cast a stone and this is the pond that we're around, I want that to be a positive cast into this pond, and the ripple effect that hits all of you is a positive ripple that you then send on to the next person, and that a butterfly effect, another example for it, but it's creating a space that allows that ripple effect to happen. Now, we talked earlier, Benny, you mentioned about adults saying stress levels is, we've got cars and mortgages and houses and those kind of things. And one of the other learning aspects is I try stuff off with my 2 boys at home, whether we do a yarning circle and have a talking stick, or roast on banana peel, or rewind, or whichever checking method we want to do. And my 5-year-old had this meltdown because the packet in the lolly that he got wasn't a koala. It was this emu. And he's like having this proper meltdown about how it's the worst thing in the world. So his stress was that he didn't get this koala. Right? That was the worst thing. And we could attribute that to can't pay the bills this week or whatever it is. But one of the other learnings is stress, right? That for kids, that is heightened. And I know I'm trying to make a joke out of a young boy, but that for him was a heightened level. As adults, we wouldn't do that because we've learnt it, but it's still stress for us. So I think that identifying a space for people to share whatever their stress or components are of mental health is the other big learning, is that the vulnerability that we're creating, the habits of vulnerability, that decreasing the stigma around how you check in. And the only way you practice and you get better at this stuff is by doing it. It's the same way going to the gym or working out in any particular way, that you can't just flick a switch and go, I'm going to be the best communicator now because the teacher's told me X, Y, and Z how to communicate. You've actually got to do that. And that's how you get better. So I think that they were the key learnings. What does success look like? Provide an opportunity that allows anyone to talk about whatever they want to do, so that vulnerability space, but then also getting them to practice the tools, practice the habit. So I think that we're heading in the right direction with those ones. We're similar in that I haven't actually sat down and mapped out with my colleagues at all, what do we want this to do, how do we want it to look like. We did fruit at one particular thing, and that was a massive hit, and the kids next week were like, where's the fruit? So music, I think, is something that I'd like to add in as well.
Wait, so what do you mean fruit?
We just had a station where we'd join and do the huddle. We just had a station at the end with cut fruit. So the kids, as they just walked in, they just grabbed a slice of watermelon and had that slice of watermelon. And again, it came from learnings from running for resilience, really. And I think that if we modelled the trajectory of running for resilience on Recess for Resilience and some of the lessons, I think you'd find the lessons are probably going to be similar. That
You're running for resilience, but as soon as someone finishes, you get a drink in their hand, whether it's water, coffee, beer, whatever, and then they stick around for 20 minutes and chat. That was like get something in their hand and then, I can't go, I've got a drink in my hand, I better stick around, finish it. And then
So your ICPOL idea would be really interesting to get some anecdotal data about how that works. And even if you plugged it beforehand, that would be the extrinsic reward. Right? So it'd be interesting to see then how much addition onto your core group is coming once you've added the ICPOL, and maybe 1 week you don't tell anyone that you're doing the ICPOL. So then you've now got data or metrics on, okay, this is what you can play with within our community on how to ripple affect more people, how to get them along to get the message. Because really, if we get them along once or twice and they start to hear it and then they go home and practice it, then that's great. Some of the messaging we've done to our parents is we want them to do the same. We want them to go for a walk and to check in and to use those tools with the students. I haven't got any stories about that happening per se, but I've got emails from parents saying they're happy that we're doing something that is proactive and talking about this, so that it is well received in that way. We're putting it in our diaries. Our students get a diary where they tally up what their timetable looks like and notes what they might be doing throughout the week. So we're putting it in the front of the diary, which usually would have the school rules and the values and those aspects. We're putting the cheat sheet. And we haven't mentioned Emma, and Emma Hales has been someone who's been a brilliant advocate for this space. She did
helping behind the scenes massively.
She designed that cheat sheet for teachers. She did all of the hard work on that, which has been wonderful for teachers, even if the teachers are showing that in a classroom. Again, we haven't collected any data on that. So I think that where I'd encourage the school that I currently serve to look at it is, let's collect some data on where we're at and then use that data to work our way forward. So what's our success around how many people we're reaching out with this message, even if it's not Recess for Resilience, and then move forward. The thing that I've really enjoyed is that once, and I've settled into that pretty quickly, that it doesn't matter if it's 10 that rock up. The habit is just really nice on a Friday, and even to hear corridor chat between executives or other staff go, hey, you walking today, or you doing Recess, or you doing Resilience, like, oh no, I've been on the pump, but I'll be there next week. Or so that's another form of checking in that I'm seeing around colleagues and students going, are you coming along, kind of thing. So I think it's great that there's a number of us really having a crack at providing a different educational space for our students.
Yeah. Can I just say as well, just one more thing that we've done at Torrens. I've made a wall that has all of this information about. It's just a Recess for Resilience wall that's kind of like up permanently.
Great.
And I just find that the students are always looking at it. We've put photos up of like when we go over, when we take the photo. We've got the captains up there.
Yeah, that's cool.
We've got Mr. Nico and I up there so that, the students
know
that it's us. Yeah. And we've just got information, that poster with all the information on it, and just to kind of make it like it's there and people can see it.
Yeah, I love that.
Just about the tree.
Yeah, so one of the other things I think we've linked in is we're tackling how we can do service learning at Canberra Grammar School in different ways. And one of the
ways service learning?
Service learning is the action out of charity. So as opposed to donating money, which is an action, but that's the charity side of things. Service learning is trying to raise awareness with different communities. And you're not working to a person. You're not going over there and saying, I'm gonna help you, mate, and this is how I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna give you a bread roll because I think you're hungry. I haven't actually asked you any questions, but I think that's helping you. And that example, it could go down well with people, but I actually haven't communicated with you. I'm not serving you at all. Service learning is about me asking you, what are your needs and how can I work with you on that? So it's not working to or for you, it's working with you. So our approach to service learning is underpinned by that concept, the next thing that we want to do is, again, build relationships and work with different foundations. And one of the ways we're doing that at the moment is through our house system. And our house systems are linked to colours like most schools, but also our Indigenous totems. So we're trying to build the link between our Indigenous totems, the colours, and then a foundation. So Garganyali is the local word for a kookaburra. So our house, Garganyali, is blue, and the blue house is linked up with the Blue Tree organisation. And the Blue Tree organisation is the organisation that works with suicide throughout. I think that might be international. I could get that wrong. But the Blue Tree that's down near Woden, there's a Blue Tree in ANU that are painted. Yeah. So that's raising awareness for suicide. So what we have done as our meeting point for Recess for Resilience is the Garganyal house have crocheted small blue patches of wool, and we've created the tree blue through this crochet that all the kids did. So the service was crocheting, raising awareness about mental health again, and it's now our meeting point for Recess for Resilience. So it ties in another foundation that's all working towards the same thing that we're all trying to tackle, which is positive mental health or tools for mental health.
I just love that tree because of like with ARFO, we've got the Ark, this rusty old Ark that didn't have a name, meant nothing, but we just started calling it the Arc de Resilience, like after the Arc de Triomphe.
Yeah.
And the government let us put a plaque on it in memory of Breeny's parents, and actually it's now officially named Arc de Resilience. So if you Google Map or you jump in an Uber, say type in Arc de Resilience and it'll take you. So it's like an official thing registered with Google, which just something really very symbolic, like a nice meeting point, which is really cool. And it gives Breeny warm and fuzzies seeing his parents.
Yeah, it does.
Something we want to do down the track is then get it, let more people put plaques to people that they're running for as like a little reminder. But I guess to wrap up, it's been an hour or nearly an hour. Why we go round the horn, what's like to a teacher thinking of bringing recess to their school, what's like the one bit of advice from each of you? So from Mr. Hall, Miss O'Neill and Mr. Nico, we'll go around. What do you reckon? Just down the barrel or whatever?
Right.
What do you have? No,
my best glare.
Whatever.
Well, I think I'm going to steal Matthew McConaughey's words. He said it recently. He's pumping out his poem book at the moment. And one of the things, I haven't read it, but he said in there, if you're going to do it, just do it. And he said, don't think about it. If you're going to do it, and don't half-ass it. And there's enough of us here in this room that will give the time to assist you, the templates to assist you to get over any little hurdles that you might have at the start. But even if you started, as you and Breeny started with the two of you, or five of you, I think it was on the first run, was it?
It was about 20, 18 to 20. It was Breeny with his wife, a few of her friends, a few of his mates, me, Shooter and Jackson, Google, our manager for the doc. So 3 doc staff and then Breeny and his wife's friends.
So I'd take a lesson from that and just do it. Get in, even if you start with 5 or 4 or a couple of teachers, have a go at it.
Yep.
I think probably what we were saying about the numbers, like, even if only a few students come, it's still really beneficial for those students, for the teachers who come, and you still get a lot out of it, even if there are small numbers, because the people who are there want to be there.
Not much to add to all that. I guess the biggest thing is schools is mental health matters, and it's the big core bit of our business. At the end of the day, kids don't remember what they learnt in a particular maths test. They don't learn the day you made them rewrite something out of a book, and they don't remember that stuff. But they remember the day you made them feel good. They remember the day that you made an impact on them, and we don't know where that impact will go. And I think programs like Running for Resilience there's too far in between those sort of programs. We're losing them in our modern society and modern schooling. If you need to do 90 minutes of literacy in the morning, 60 minutes, got to do this, got to do that, got to do this, got to fit this in, got to do that. And we lose this stuff that actually, as you said right at the start, was our goal is not just to make kids that are smart. Our goal is to make good human beings. And this is a huge chunk of that. And it's so valuable, and this program impacts that. And whether you affect 1 or 50 or 1,000 kids, it's worth it. So just get out, like you said just before, just get out and do it well.
Yeah, and I think the thing is that we need more of us doing it, because as an educational institution, your point there is reminding me that we seem to say we value academics so much because we measure it, and often you value what you measure, right? And so I think it needs education, a little bit of a shift towards let's start measuring this, measuring mental health, measuring character strength and well-being and resilience and how to pick yourself up. Because as you mentioned before, that's how we're going to build the next society, the next generation. We want to be better than we are currently.
Mm.
Yeah.
And I would love to see the goal of all the schools in Canberra doing recess for resilience, because students from every school would benefit from it.
It was a very cool idea we did at Amaru many years ago. We used to do the World Challenge where the kids go off to Vietnam or Cambodia for a 2-week tour and the kids had to do something to raise money, and there's two awesome kids at the time. So kids organised this. They organised to break a world record with the world's biggest air guitar on the Amaru Oval, and they invited all the schools in Gungahlin. How cool would it be in a year or 2 years' time, Ben, with your support and the other people for Recess for Resilience, to get as many schools to the one spot as possible and have a world record recess for resilience, and you get yourself.
They got the lake right.
Like that.
Or like a recess walk, kids all just doing a walk or something at the same time.
So anything like
Student
that.
kid during
It's
school
like Clean
time
Up
or something.
Like Clean Up Australia Day, you could have Recess for Resilience Day.
Something like that where you get people on buses too. You'd get so many kids at that, and you would have the impact that would have. That's not a pebble in a pond. That's a boulder dropping into a little pond that just is going to make absolute incredible messes. And hopefully we can get past the administration of sometimes that we get stuck in litigious ACT. But I still remember that day these kids ran this world's biggest air guitar. There's 2,000 kids on.
What was the song they were doing it to?
It was an AC/DC one, I believe.
Thunderstruck. That takes a bit of practice.
Nige at the time come out and run it from the radio station.
That's cool.
But it wasn't like to say it. That was their idea, and to say we're going to break a world record. Everyone was like, no. This stuff's possible. You just got to get it in motion. And if we get enough teachers behind this sort of thing and break these barriers down into little chunks, what a cool little feather in the cap of making Canberra an amazing place to be.
Yeah, it's going to take a team effort to make something like that happen. But just on behalf of Running for Resilience, thank you to the three of you and to Mr. Robson and Mr. Buck for being a part of, and all the others, Georgie Pye, Dan Weatherall. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this experiment, this first year of Recess for Resilience. Long may it continue, hopefully, for a very long time. But us three have been friends for a long time. But Mr. Nick, I just want to thank you. Only just getting to know you this year. I just want to say I have so much respect for how you approach education and how you don't lecture kids. Just watching you side by side and seeing how much, especially those young boys, look up to you. And so I just want to thank you for being such a great role model to those guys, because that makes a difference when they grow up. We do a lot of work with Men's Link with young males who don't have great role model. Well, those young boys, I don't know if they got dads, but geez, they're lucky they got you. Some of you, Mr. Hall, some of the girls looking up to you, Miss O'Neill. So thank you, mate. And I've really enjoyed getting to know you this year. We've all been mates a long time, so I'm not giving you guys a big soppy kiss. Thank you for everything. So much respect for how you all go about education, and thank you for being a part of this experiment.
Well, thank you, mate. Thanks for being open to it and supporting it, and putting the R4R name behind it. I think has given it the momentum it needed. So, thank you.
Absolutely, yes. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Ben, for making a difference for our kids.
Yeah.
Thank you.
At Lonsdale Street Studio, we believe in the power of storytelling to connect people and create change. That's why we're proud to be the production partner for this Running for Resilience podcast.